Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Weekly Poro Report, your one-stop shop for all things Legends of Runeterra. As always, I am Smith, along with my co-host Kozer. We are back after missing a week last week. I had some personal stuff I had to deal with, but excited to kind of be back in the seat with our special guest here, the one and only, and our good buddy Wind Mage. Breaking the elusive off camera. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Good. Glad to have you here. I know we play a lot of Legends of Runeterra together. We play some Valorant together, so it's good to finally get you on the show here.
I'm glad to be here. I'd love to give some expert input on Valorant, but it's Iron 1 squad. I think I'm just my input would just be too high level. For most people to understand, so I think I'm going to stick to Legends of Runeterra here.
I do feel bad for abandoning you on the Iron Squad, but I'm going to be reset again, and we'll climb together.
Yeah, we'll all be Iron in our hearts.
But hey, so while we could talk Valorant probably all day here, so if we want to talk lore, what kind of got you into card games? I mean, so you and I were talking, and you said this is your first one, right?
Yeah, it's actually my first card game. It's funny that I was on the League of Legends client and I just saw, download the Legends of Runeterra card game, playruneterra.com on like the homepage of the League of Legends screen, and I was just like, I guess I'll try it out. I never got into Hearthstone, but I had some friends that were really into that game, so
Yeah.
A little late to join the Hearthstone train, but all aboard the OR train. So tried it out, and I'm like, wait, this is actually a really fun game, and the cards came pretty easy. So I was worried about,
And I said, that's what's disgusting to me is that you were like, oh, I'm going to try this out for fun. And as somebody that came from Hearthstone and other games, and it's like I struggled my way to get to Legend there. I struggled my way to get to Masters here. You just come in and you're like, oh yeah, on full release, I think it was 30th in North America to hit Master. That blows my mind. That is huge. So, that's really, really cool. And I mean, a couple people that have watched my stream have seen you on there from time to time as you kind of helped coach me in beta whenever I was making the Platinum Diamond run. And then you helped me when I was streaming casually. You happened to jump in and got me helped me run from Plat 1 to Diamond 4. So that's good. But let's talk a little bit about current state of the game, current meta. I mean, obviously it wasn't a patch week or anything like that. How are you feeling? What's your thought about the game? You enjoying the meta? You think it's a little stale, needs to be shaken up? What's going on?
I mean, I think there are a lot of fun decks in the meta. The Heimer deck especially, I think is a good deck that is good for climbing, good for if you want to be sweaty but still want to have fun. Burn is obviously probably one of the more efficient. I just want to grind out as many games as possible real fast, gotta win kind of deck. But Heimer is also top tier, and you can have fun while playing it. It's still good against a lot of the meta decks. And really its only horrible matchup I would say is Burn. So it's pretty solid deck, pretty fun deck.
Do you typically playing control more so than mid-range or aggro? I mean, I know I go to you whenever I have Karina control questions. That deck really well.
He's the Karina master.
Very much.
Yeah, so. Kozer called me a Karina one trick. But what's funny, when I first got to Master, I mean, I'm always playing tier 1, tier 2 decks when I'm on ladder. I can't bring myself to I have some passionate decks that I'm passionate about that I will not bring to ranked, Slotbot decks and Iceborne Sharks.
Yep.
You will not see me playing those in ranked, but I am fond about them all the same.
Although nobody would expect it.
But
Spit those Paro decks.
I started out with a Hecarim deck, obviously. I think most people were playing Hecarim decks, so I don't think I can be judged too harshly for hitting Master on Hecarim.
No.
Before the nerfs. So that was more mid range, and then I switched over to Spider Aggro, but like I really enjoy playing control decks now.
Awesome.
And I know I don't know. I have a lot of fun with all sorts of decks, but right now it's mostly Karina Vi and Heimer Vi, because Vi is just pretty busted unit in general right now.
You like Karma Ezreal as well. Don't forget about
I like
that.
Karma
It
Ezreal.
just
Yeah,
doesn't seem as strong right now. I don't know, as weird as it is, like it just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't nerf anything or do anything about it, but it just doesn't seem to have as high of a win rate as it had before.
Burn is like Burn is like the great equalizer. Like, it's really annoying that it's so good right now, but it is holding back. Like, if they made a big nerf to Burn aggro, it would then they'd have a lot of decks that would that were kind of like balanced by it, kind of start to be OP. Like, I think Heimer Vi, I think Ezreal Karma would definitely be overpowered. I mean, they're already tier 1, and if you take away their worst matchup, then they're like tier 0.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too that I'd love to shit on it, especially the current meta situation with them. But I am somebody that spent pretty much all of Plat climbing with the Champless Burn deck, and so I mean it's one of those things that it did make me feel better anytime I saw an Ezreal Karma deck, because before oh my god, I so anti Ezreal Karma, and at least I felt like, well, look, I'm not going to let you get to end game. Do what you want to do, remove what you want. I don't care. I'm just going to keep farming your face.
Yeah, definitely. I think the meta is definitely in a better spot than it was, because I hated how prevalent as Karma was. I hated as Karma mirror matches, because it led to what I call Ezreal chicken, where neither side wants to play any cards because they don't want to level up the opponent's Ezreal. But then it just becomes all right, I hold my Karma, I hold all my burn spells, and I just shove it at the Nexus when I get my Karma down turn 10.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it comes down to. Oh yeah, and Chump Womp actually become important, because since it's a draw heavy deck, just shoving some mushrooms in actually helps get in some chip damage. So that
makes sense.
I wasn't the only one to talk about this, but there's some speculation that Puffcap Puggler would actually be a good tech card in the mirror matchup, just because you're just like, all right, this time to shove mushrooms in their face.
Yep.
Because you're not leveling Ezreal in a game of Ezreal chicken. It's not gonna happen.
I hear you. But
I think overall meta's healthier. And I get frustrated when I see Burn unless I'm on Karina Control, which I do like. I did hit Master with Karina Control for season 1, so and I can't complain too much about Burn. But if I'm playing something that doesn't have the SI control tools in it, the SI healing does get pretty rough sometimes. Like,
I hear you. Good.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, while we're kind of talking about whatever what you're playing and what you're playing against, I figured it'd be kind of maybe a good opportunity to just transition into kind of how your week's been. For Laura, what are you playing right now? Is it primarily Heimer V, or are you trying to switch it up on that? Or Vi? Sorry, Vi. I'll always say V.
I've been playing. I've been playing a lot of Karina, and then
one trick.
I'm a little bit one. I'm branching out, okay. But I got into Heimer Vi, and partly is because of, in addition to hating Burn, I also hate Unyielding Spirit, which I'm like, all right, I basically need to be running Will of Ionia. I'm like, all right, like what are some good fun decks that run Will of Ionia that aren't as Karma, because I've already kind of burnt myself out on as Karma from playing that so much as well. And I'm like, this Heimer Vi deck kind trying to think. I think Allen CQ was one of the first ones. I mean, there are a lot of similar versions running around. I think I run a pretty standard list.
Yeah.
But Will of Ione is a really good tool. Deny is a really good tool for a lot of stuff out there. Not too much against Burn, but you can't win every matchup unless you just have a ridiculously busted deck. So some matchups aren't going to be that great, and the Burn matchup, while not great, it's still winnable. Still winnable some.
Yeah, and I feel like there are enough decks out there that kind of are winnable and things that we can kind of handle. Before we kind of get into that too, there was a question in chat, and it's a simple one, so I'm just gonna answer it real quick. For its obliterate, basically what it means is it completely removes the card from play, so it doesn't go into
it doesn't activate Last Breath.
Yeah, nothing. It just takes it out of the game.
Yeah, it doesn't activate Last Breath. It's not effective, or it goes through Unyielding Spirit, because Unyielding Spirit says I cannot die or take damage. Well, Obliterate isn't killing it. It's just erasing it poof like it never existed. So,
yeah, because you're sitting there saying you summoned the Leviathan and Swain came back in your hand. How is that possible? The Leviathan pulls it from your deck. So
you have more than one Swain in your deck, unless you only had one Swain teched in, but that's kind of weird. Like, okay, you have one Swain in your deck and my whole card roster. Okay. I don't know if that's per se a bug. I think I just pull Swain regardless Leviathan. I'm not exactly sure about that.
Yeah,
I mean, I could ask Umbridge about that, because he might be able to give me a solid answer.
If you only have one...
Because it says draw him, so if you don't have him, it's not going to draw. Like, there's other cards that do similar things, and it just doesn't draw it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about the Sejuani one, but what about Tusk Rider? Has anyone seen an Obliterate with that? Because I haven't really... It's from the deck, but yeah, like, we understand that, Obi, but it's true. He only has one in his deck.
He's already used it.
And it gets obliterated.
He shouldn't have any more others to draw.
Yeah, and for people listening to the audio version, what the question basically was is, what does obliterate mean? Because the individual in Twitch chat played his Swain. He was running a Swain deck. Swain got obliterated against a deep deck. He played Leviathan, which typically draws a Swain, but Twitch chat is saying that he only had one Swain in deck, period, and in his collection. So really, it shouldn't draw one. So yeah, I would say it's probably a bug.
Yeah, you can report that. We had to report.
I'd report that and see what they say.
I mean, it was a nice win for you, but that's kind of unfair for the other guy. It's okay. There's some other bugs. I had to actually report. Me and Windmage were playing this week, or last weekend, and I actually haven't played. Well, I guess we'll go into my week. I haven't played LOR much because I started going back to work, and I've just been kind of easing myself back into the work week. And last time I played LOR, I got kind of big mad because I ran into a bug with Vi where he hooked my Boom Crew rookie, and literally it went through my Boom Crew rookie and literally just hit my Nexus for like 10. Like, I lost 10 health, and then his two other Shadow Assassins that I couldn't block won him the game. It was really frustrating. Windmage saw it. I reported the bug, and then I had another game where my Vi, I had 3 Vi's. Three different ones that had 10-5 on it. And every time they hit, they didn't level up. Yeah. And then I lost the game because of it.
It wasn't like they died or anything. They hooked the unit, they killed it, they survived, and then they just didn't level up. And I mean, Vice had previous bugs that they had to fix, like her being an 18-5 after leveling up to like actually one hit kill.
Well, 18-6, but yes.
Oh yeah, 18-6. My bad. Yeah, because she gets 1 health on leveling up. Yeah, she would be an 18-6 right when she leveled up. So if you like Dragon's Rage, an enemy hit their Nexus for 18 damage, which
was fucking stupid.
Probably gonna be a one hit kill in those scenarios.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know about that bug. I'm actually interested to know what happened. it's more than likely a bug report. You should issue a bug report with the logs. If you ever run into that again, like honestly, like if you can record your gameplay, that's super helpful for Riot to be able to figure out what happened during the game. I think if you pull your logs too, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it also gets your information as well from the game that they're able to pull. And then on their end, they'll go from there. But yeah, definitely that doesn't sound normal. If you were running one Swain 100%, once it gets obliterated, it's supposed to remove your card from the deck, like it's gone.
Yeah.
And obliterate works like that with everything.
Yeah.
So be careful when you actually do that, because a lot of people aren't understanding when you replace your cards on board. Like when you have 6 cards and you go and put an extra one on and get rid of the other card, it obliterates it. So if it has last breath, it's gone. Like don't do that to your Ladros.
But so anyway, I mean, away from the obliterate talk, I mean, my week was pretty good. Or actually, I guess 2 weeks since it's been a while. I did, as I mentioned earlier, hit Diamond. I primarily ran from Plat 4 to Plat 1, the Champless Burn aggro, so I officially sold my soul to the devil, which I hated myself for it, but it was winning. I mean, you know, we'll talk a little bit about the stats exactly that deck has, and that we can track with Mobalytics tool. But I mean, it's quick, it's fast, it's easy to pick up and go. It does get countered very easily against things like the deep decks, against Karina control, things like that. Anything with lifesteal kind of puts a damper on it. But Ezreal Karma, Lux Karma, Lux V, Heimerdinger, like all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's enough into it that, or V, whatever. I'm going to say it every time. It's one of those things that you can go into it and just kind of beat them out before they get their combo. Struggles a little bit against Klepto only because they can steal your burn cards and just kind of outburn you if need be. So I mean, but primarily it was good. Right now in Diamond, I'm at Diamond 3, running a Klepto deck that seems to be doing okay. I mean, I really just wanted to hit Diamond so I can stop playing Burn and kind of play around with other decks without worried about dropping rank.
Just play Karina, bro. It's the second most highest win rate.
I mean,
Karina's pretty good.
I played a little bit of Karina. And it's
so boring now.
My issue with Karina is I just get too anxious to play some things sometimes. You know what I mean? So I'm. It's one of those things that and I feel like Klepto doesn't trigger my aggro brain as much because it's still I got to hit something. Like I got to hit your Nexus. I got to hit your Nexus, and then I can play my hand. You know, like I understand the Karina win condition isn't just go Nexus early, but Plunder at least I still feel like I'm like, oh, I'm putting some damage on. Like I'm getting that out of my system. You know?
Yeah, it's like aggro light, aggro brain light.
Yeah, kind of. So it's kind of a nice transition for me out of the Champless Burn. But one of the things that, and I mentioned it, and kind of we'll jump into the news here a little bit. So it's not a patch week this week, but there were some pretty cool things released in the past, 7 to 14 days or so here. The biggest one, and obviously for people that are, also before we get into this, big shout out to one of our longtime fans, Abanye. He basically, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Abanye, but he hit Masters, and
you're probably not, but we'll accept it.
It's fine. But yeah, so he was sitting there saying on Twitter that he was initially hard stuck, or he was a silver player. He almost thought about quitting, got hard stuck a couple times, and still pulled it through to hit Masters. So that's a huge accomplishment. So congrats to you, man. That's huge. Congratulations.
Huge.
I see that you also submitted your stuff to the Master Discord. So
yeah, he's a member now. Member for life.
And congrats, buddy. That's big. And anybody else that listens to the show, if you hit Masters for the first time or basically any kind of rank that you're proud of, let us know. That's kind of cool. We're here to cheer you on. But anyway, what I was saying, so Mobalytics, obviously, we are a Mobalytics partner right now. And one thing that they've been kind of working on, and we've been communicating in the partner Discord with them, is the need for them to update some of their stats that they released for Legends of Runeterra. And it's been something that they've been working on, but previously they would sit there and say, here's your stats with Shadow Isles, and here's your stats with Demacia, which really didn't give you any good information because there's a million Shadow Isles decks or a million Noxus combination decks. You needed to have some sort of champion insight as to really what's going on in the meta. And while they're still working on some things right now, they made a pretty huge stride in the information that they have released. So Kozer has it on screen right now for stream.
Well, let me actually correct you on one thing. So this info has been available, just not to the general public. This is what Swim used to help make his meta reports every week, and some other YouTubers / streamers.
Yeah.
Like I think Alan was a part of it as well.
Yeah, they put it out there, but yeah, it wasn't easily accessible, put it that way. You could
only they had access to it. That was it. You'd have to bug Swim for it.
A couple people, but I think
it was kind of secret.
yeah. I mean, they weren't flashing it to everybody, but so what it is right now is if you go to lore.mobalytics.gg and you go to the left-hand side, there's a little tab that says Metastats. Right now, it's nice and highlighted and new, and this breaks down all the stats that they collect from people using the deck tracker application that goes on the desktop.
Ooh, even has worse matchups. I didn't notice that.
Which is, kind of huge. And they break it out into various things. So, I'll kind of take it very, very high level across it. If you go to regions, which is good, but again, probably not the most beneficial area, it will say, okay, what's the win rate with Noxus and Piltover's on, and here's some of the popular cards. And what I can see in it, and most people that are familiar with the game, we would know, number one region that says Noxus Piltover's on, 55.9% win rate, 16% play rate, popular cards, you can see all the burn cards. I'm going, that's Champless Burn. But if you're not sure and you want a little bit more detail, the second section here, it's called Champions, and it actually adds another field to it that shows what champions are included in various decks and what win rates. So
yeah, but you can also do that, to add on to that, you can actually do that by clicking on Noxus and Piltover and on. It has it all there. Look.
I'm getting there.
Well, come on, man. I'm already there on the screen. It even shows you who's good with the deck. Oh, wow. 209 is actually one of the top players with it. Not really surprised. He played it a lot in EU.
Yeah, but the reason why I like the champion section a little bit better is because it really shows you what kind of deck you're dealing with. So, the top one, Champless Burned. Second one, you can see it's Karina Control. Lux Karma number 3 on the line. And it gives you the play rate. It tells you how many matches are pulled out of it. Because you may see something and say, oh my gosh, this has a 70% win rate, but has 20 matches. That doesn't mean shit. But I can sit here and see they collected 93,000 matches of Champless Burn, and it's 56.5% win rate. That's a pretty good sampling size. And it's saying, look, 11% of matches are this exact deck or this meta deck. And it's neat. So you can really get a good idea of hey, what deck do I want to play? What do I want to do into it? And from the champion screen, if you actually click the deck, it'll pull up in the deck section. And you can see here, okay, let me pick on the first one here. It's a Champless Burn. You click into it again, it'll show you the exact deck code. It'll show you everything into it. So you can easily see exactly what every card is, what the makeup is, what the cost is to craft it is, the mana cost, all that good stuff. And then, like I said, as Kozer said, if you actually click into any of the region tabs, it'll give you an overview of saying, for this region combination, you'll see what are the popular cards that are typically in it, what are your win rates against other various regions, which, as I said before, I don't think that is necessarily super helpful.
It is when you're looking at Karina Control, because if you actually look, all of the popular decks that they're probably pulling most of the stats for are literally just Karina Control. It's literally all Karina Control, so this is useful. But against Burn,
I'm talking against the section above it where it says worst matchups. Demacia Ionia. Is that
wait,
Garen?
Do you not think that this is accurate?
Oh,
Burn. Worst matchup is Karina Control. It literally shows it right here, and it is. It has a very low win rate against it. Unless you brick. If you brick your hand, then you're going to lose. Yeah, only pull all your Karinas, Ledros, right off the bat.
But you're missing what I'm saying. So we see the regions, and me and you can tell that's Karina Control. Just that box. So go back into your burn.
Yeah.
And look where it says worst matchups, and it just shows the region and win rate. as the meta changes, I don't think that region's going to be as important. You know what I mean? Because what if, Karina Control all of a sudden shifts out? They're going to still have all these matches. I don't know how much they're going to shift it up. I'd rather see what the champions are. Sure, if I click into that, it's going to then show me a different region. So I don't think regions are as important as the section, and let me get back to it, like the section that I think was below it that actually shows, okay, here's the deck, or not below it. If you go into the matchups maybe, decks.
I don't know. To be honest, it's a cool tool. It still needs a lot of work. We don't need to go that much into it. We can move on to other stuff. But yeah, this is a really cool tool. Like, look at it. Some of it's helpful information. You also got to remember, I used to play MOBAs. Looking at only statistics doesn't really help you, especially when you get into competitive gameplay. It really makes a huge difference. There are certain cards in certain matchups, if players are smarter, that used to make like champs and other games that I played like really, really strong in competitive. But if you played it in solo queue, you'd get completely dumped on because the rest of your teammates wouldn't coordinate with you. So numbers don't always mean everything. Some of these are preferences as well. Like if you look in actual Piltover and Zon, the Karina Control, like Glimpse actually has a higher win rate, but has a smaller play rate. But like, it's really weird to me because it's literally only 200 more matches. But anyways, but it just gives you an idea. Like, these are just good numbers to go by, so you know what top decks are being ran right now. But don't take it to everything, because it's like Smithel said. If I click this, it's gonna give me the top decks. So there's a Fiora Zed. This is Elusive Burn. Then it shows you Karma Lux.
Yeah. So there could be a little bit of a mix involved in it. So I mean, definitely check it out. I mean, it's
cool.
It's a hell of a lot of information. If you don't know, like if the meta shifts for any reason, you're trying to say, I've never seen this before. What am I going up against? Or, oh, that looked like a fun deck. How did they make it? You can kind of see what the most popular versions of it is. Another kind of cool tool that is outside of the Mobalytics partnership, but is actually put together by a whole bunch of well-known people. Like I know Casanova was involved in this, I believe. Is actually Tempo Storm. They did a meta snapshot, and this is a fantastic tool if you're trying to get an understanding of how to play some of those decks. So let's say you go to the Mobalytics side and you say, "Oh, this deck looks really cool. I got the code from it." Not only can you get the code and everything here, but like they break it out into a tier list of saying, here's tiers 1 through 4 of various decks. And so we'll click into, I don't know, Champless Burn, for example. It'll tell you, here's the archetype. Here's generally how you play it. Here's the best matchups. Here's the worst matchups. Here's what you want to look for. It gives you really, really, really broken down in-depth tutorials almost of how to play any deck.
Yeah, it's cool. I actually was able to find out who was involved with it. I just see the list now. It was BBG, Bruised by God, Casanova, Navi Oots, Prismaticism, and I think it's Zero. Zero. I don't exactly. I think he's an EU player, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I would imagine.
Yeah, but it's really cool. So like if you sit there and you see a deck and you say, "Oh, this deck I'm always losing to. I want to pick it up and I want to know how to play it." That's one thing that people tend to forget is like they'll see Swim will release a deck or Mog will release a deck and say, "Oh, this is great. Here's the code," and people will jump into it just saying, "Oh, this has to be a broken deck. This has to be a top tier deck," but then they play it poorly. Like Karina Control, for example. You'll see people play that very, very terribly because it's easy to mess up decks like that. Or people will play even like Karma Ezreal and they'll say, "Okay, I got Ezreal. I'm going to play him right away, turn 3, and then gone." They don't know. Okay, let's hold him back, wait till he flips, and just finish with him. It's one of those things that you can really get an idea of saying, when you're playing against this deck, it's going to be a struggle. So here's what you want to keep, or whatever the case may be. So I would very, very much strongly encourage everybody to check this out too.
Especially the Poro deck. especially the Poro deck that's tier 4.
Yeah.
This is really a tier 1 deck at heart, and this is going to be Smithle's new favorite deck. Because when me and Smithel first started the podcast, he's obsessed with making a good Poro deck. And
I want a Poro Timo deck in the worst way.
Oh, are you excited about Aurora Borealis?
I saw it. I haven't played it yet.
It was so underwhelming.
But I want to play it.
There's some changes they could make to it. Okay, I've said it multiple times. If they make Poros too strong, it's not going to be fun. Me and Smithley used to play fucking MOBAs, and so did Wind Mage. When you play a MOBA and they make a character that's supposed to be a meme way too strong, it really screws up the meta and makes the game unfun to play. It really does.
Yeah, look at Elnick.
Yeah, like Elnuks were supposed to be a meme. They weren't a meme. They were strong, dude. They hurt.
Yeah. They never weren't a meme before the nerf, but it was a while before they were discovered that, hey, you can just run the 6 of them. They're kind of OP on their own. You don't need extra stuff. You just slap them into whatever deck, and then you're good.
That's
just
true.
get 3 free Elniks every game.
Yeah, but yes, I mean it's 2 pretty cool tools. Again, when we go through and do the YouTube video and all that kind of stuff, there'll be links to both of those areas as well. Definitely go check it out. Also check out any of the authors. Most of them stream and do all that kind of good stuff too. Go check out their streams. I'm sure they'll talk about it too. I don't know how often they plan on updating that. I'm hoping it's every patch. It may say somewhere there, and I missed it.
I could ask Nova at some point. that was one thing I forgot to talk to him about. Because I'll ask Nova how often it's going to be, and then I'll talk about it next podcast.
Yeah, because they put a lot of work into it, and it is really, really a strong tool, especially if you aren't super familiar with every deck archetype in the game. I would very much recommend people go check it out. But speaking of decks, I know Windmage, you brought to us a deck that you kind of want to walk us through, and it's one that I'm excited for because I cannot pilot this deck to save my life, despite what happened with me, you, and Kozer beforehand.
Oh yeah, okay.
I either hold my hand too long or
something. I don't know how. I know you watch the show sometimes, Windmage. So basically, how we break these down, I forgot to tell you before the show started how we do it. You're gonna say mulligans. What's a strong mulligan? I know that you can't go over every matchup, so don't do it because it's going to take an hour long to explain it. Just explain what it's strong against, what it's weak against. I know we've already kind of touched on that, but just remind everyone. And basically just kind of explain which cards are good in it and how you use the deck.
Okay. Well, I'll go over the hardest matchup first, I believe, is Burn. This really is a rough matchup because you don't have a lot of tools to easily deal with burn aggro early, and then by the time you start getting your tools online with your Heimer and Vi, turn 5, and it's starting to get a little too late. You're already down to 4 or 5 health on turn 5 all the times against burn, and the only saving grace is Spirit's Refuge if you're looking for healing. Or you could just get lucky and have your triple flash of brilliance. I actually had an insane hand earlier today. It wasn't against burn, but it would have been magnificent against burn. I had turn 2. I got out 3 calls of the dragon, all 3 of them, by playing Flash of Brilliance into Mystic Shot on turn 2. I got out all 3 of my calls and just instantly did 9 damage.
Nice.
Yeah, so you have the potential for some pretty insane high rolls with this deck. But as a general rule for moles, you want to keep Thermo Beam. It's very flexible removal tool, but it's very good. I would say it's at its best the first couple of turns where it's cheap, and nothing is above 4 HP in burn aggro anyway. The highest health being Grim Crew Rookie. But anyway, you're gonna want to Thermo that Legion Saboteur, that Precious Pet turn 1. Sometimes you'll be able to Thermo Beam Boom Crew Rookie. It's also pretty good value. You want to keep Mystic Shot. And then your followers, since you don't have too many of those, you want to keep Calls, you want to keep Shadow Assassin, you want to keep Solitary Monk in Mole Against Burn. Although they're pretty good to keep in Moles Against everything, because if you don't have your units, if you don't draw your Heimer by, then and you don't have any of your units, then you can solve a little bit with your removal, but you can only solve for so long. So anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic. Yeah, I was messing with my camera a little bit.
Fine.
Anyway, you want to keep Thermo Beam for burn. You want to keep Mystic Shot. You want to keep any of your followers, Calls, Shadow Assassin, Solitary Monk, and then arguably, if you you want to draw your cheap removal, you want to kind of hard mull for that. But if you already have some cheap removal, if you already have Thermo Beam, if you already have Mystic Shot, I'd consider keeping a Spirit's Refuge. It's not great the first couple turns, but if you can slap it on by, it's like boom, game instantly swings back in your favor. I was down to 3 HP game I was playing earlier, and I managed to slap down a 9 attack by, slap a Spirit's Refuge on her, and then bam, I'm back to 12 HP, and the guy was out of cards, so he just surrendered.
Well, yeah, and we've actually teched in for fun there. We've actually teched in. We're trying something new. I don't know if it's good, but if we keep, because of the meta reports and stuff, everyone's been playing Burn quite a bit, and we see it a lot. That and Bannerman. We've been throwing in Eye of the Dragon for heals.
Eye of the Dragon instead of Claws. I like the flexibility. I think Claws overall is a better card in Heimer deck. But if you're teching against aggro, burn aggro, which is your worst matchup, I think Eye of the Dragon's pretty good. It's overall just a really good card against aggro if you can spawn lifesteal units, because you're getting in that 2 free lifesteal potentially every round, because if you can get those spells out, if you can get the Flash of Brilliance into Mystic Shot or Mystic Shot and a Thermo Beam or anything like that, then you're going to get a lot of good value. Because one thing that Burn hates the most is healing. So if you can cram any healing into your deck without making it too weak against other matchups, then it's pretty solid.
So what is a deck strong against, would you say? Because it's kind of like an aggro tempo deck. Like, a lot of people think this is complete control. It's not actually complete control, especially with Claw of the Dragon.
It's kind of got it's got some mid-range tempo elements to it for sure. I mean, I would in fact consider this. Well, it's got a lot of removal, but I mean, its most expensive cards are Heimer and Vi, so it definitely has a kind of a mid-rangey tempo feel to it, and I think it does well into. It doesn't do poorly into anything that isn't burned, but I think it does well against Bannermen. A lot of them running Unyielding Spirit, and Will Leone is just such a great counter to that. So all those mono Demacia decks you're seeing with Unyielding Spirit.
Also, can we appreciate what a terrible card that is? I hate that fucking card.
Yeah, I hate that card.
Yeah, at one point before, after I go into tournament talk, I actually kind of want to... We have patch notes coming on Monday, and I actually want to briefly just go over, because our time is actually really good right now. We're only about 40 minutes in, and probably got another 20 minutes with the tournament talk, so... I actually want to go over that quite a bit. I wanna just let's just take speculations and think about which cards we think are gonna get nerfed, and we can try to talk about which ones are gonna get buffed. But honestly, it's really hard to know which cards are gonna get buffed, because sometimes Riot's just hey, ooh, give me that. And then they buff it. And you're just like, why did you even buff
Yeah.
that?
Or they give it we're totally buffing this card. We love it. We want it to see more play, and then it's actually a nerf, and it's way worse, and now no one plays it. And that
Yeah,
card,
they do that sometimes.
like Iceborne Legacy.
Yep.
The change nobody asked for. Everyone's like, why would you do this? You just made it worse.
Well, it's like Blackspear too. Like actually, when they nerfed Blackspear, not that many people were complaining about it, and a lot of people were unhappy with that change because they felt that it killed SI a little too much. I was happy that it was gone because there's way too many units that only have 3 health, but it's I don't know. It's now looking back at it, I feel like it was an okay change, but like I don't think it had to happen.
I don't think Black Spear in particular was problematic. I think Black Spear, for whatever reason, was their black sheep. Because overall, it just seemed like SI is really the only good control region. Like, if you have a control deck, you're gonna want the SI control tools like Vengeance for hard removal. You're gonna want the Vile Feast is just such an efficient card. 2 mana for heal 1, deal 1, get a 1/1.
Yep.
You got
so
Grasping
many ones
Vine
right there.
Well. Yeah, so many ones. Vile Feast. And Withering Wail and Grasping and Dying too. Just really the biggest counters to burn. Because the only other region that has decent healing is Ionia, and that's just Health Potion and Spirit's Refuge, which,
So in other words, you're saying to hit Masters, I need to play Karina. That's what you're telling me, One Trick. That's basically what you're saying, right?
Nah. I'm saying SI has all the best control tools, and that's why Black Spirit.
No, I know. Against aggro right now, that's why it's the second best deck on the meta list.
Yeah.
Like the reason why is it like a really high win rate is honestly just because of burn. Like you can completely wreck burn as long as you get Withering Wail or Grasp. Like honestly,
yeah. Like health potion's okay. Like kind of a band-aid. Same with Eye of the Dragon. But, Eye of the Dragon is good, but, you can't always get all the spells. But SI combines the healing with also lots of board clear. Withering Wail, there are a lot of 1 health units, like Legion Saboteur, Precious Pet, Legion Grenadier, and Burn. And against, I don't even think people are playing Spider Aggro right now because Burn Aggro is just a better aggro. But
yeah, I don't think I've seen
Spider. No one's playing that. I know you have a heart for it, but it's not around.
Yeah, if I see spiders, it's indoor.
Yeah, it's indoor spiders.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Pretty solid deck, but in general, SI just has all the good control tools. But Ionia does have some nice, really good spells, so that's why. Ionia and Piltover Zon have the best spells that aren't Unyielding Spirit, so that's why you see them in a lot of decks together.
So basically, for a Heimer Vi, so basically what we're saying is Heimer Vi is kind of weak to burn. Heimer Vi is actually weak to itself. Card draw can literally you can brick out and literally lose a game because of it.
If you're only drawing your spells and so back to the mulligans. I talked already about what you want to keep in moles, but if you're not against burn, you're gonna want to keep buying your opening hand because it's just so good to stack her up early before you can play her, because she's gonna be buffing herself while she's in your hand. So the earlier you can get her, the better. But if she's in your opening hand, then usually by the time you can play her on turn 5, she's already a 5/5, 6/5 challenger tough, which for 5 mana, that's insane stats just as a unit for getting, like, it doesn't matter if she levels up. She's just 5 mana, 6/5 challenger tough that keeps getting bigger the longer she's on the field. Just incredibly difficult threat for just about any deck to deal with. So you normally see people having to either thermo beam the Vi, vengeance it, or just having to make a lot of bad trades into it. Like Vi just so good against Demacia. It's like Heimer Vi, just I feel like really strong in Demacia. Just because you got Willfern Yielding Spirit, which is actually a card I like to keep if I think I'm going to be against an Unyielding Spirit deck. Flash of Brilliance is good to keep, but I wouldn't keep more than one unless you already have Heimer in hand, because it's awkward when you got all these flashes of brilliance, but you can't find Heimer, so you're like, wow, this is actually kind of a useless card now, because what's it going to give me? Shadow Flare?
Yeah.
Unless you got 3 Claws of the Dragon in hand, then you can bring those on.
Yeah, you can just unload your whole hand for free, and just make your opponent Darius emo or Jinx emo. Like, oh my god, I can't believe you just unloaded your entire hand at burst speed, and you can just actually one turn kill them.
Yeah, we've seen Kuma do that, but like so I think we went over the bad matchups, the good matchups. I think we basically went over it. Like, it's a really fun deck to play. Like, me and Windmage co-play this deck quite a bit. I want to try to hit Masters with it, but like, honestly, I really just want to hit Masters with Timo Sejuani. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think Freljord's it's got a lot of issues. It has some advantages in the Demacia, and that you can just like freeze their board, and Demacia doesn't have good ways to deal with that. But
if Burn wasn't a thing, Burn wasn't a thing,
yes.
I think we'd see a little bit more, to be honest.
Yeah, because it doesn't get Heimer at least has outs versus Burn, where Sedge really doesn't.
No.
You
don't want to throw your Timo right into them if you don't need to, because he can be kind of trolly.
You're gonna have to end up using your Timo as a chump blocker, which not usually what you want to hear about your Timo. You usually want to protect and cherish your little baby because you're a disgusting Timo player.
Timo's funny though. Well, let's get into tournament talk.
All right.
Yeah.
Wait, what? You still gonna say something?
Nope, sounds good to me.
Okay, so let's start with DOR. Duels of Runeterra 9. So this just happened last weekend. This was NA. Winding God has won 3 times now. I think it's like 3 weekends in a row. Can't remember.
Yeah.
Windmage might know that a little bit more. I think it's got to be 3. It's got to be 3 weekends.
He won the last 3 NA Duels of Runeterra. He's an insane player.
Oh, dude, he's so good.
He's the one. He's the one
fantastic.
that. Yeah, he's the one that actually made the most recent Champless burn aggro. He refined the current burn aggro that people either are using to climb ladder or hate others for using it to climb that ladder. So he's obviously good at deck building, amazing tournament player. I mean, when you win 3 Duels of Runeterra in a row against some of the best LR players competing in that, you don't just do that. You don't just luck your way into 3 straight Duels of Runeterra wins.
No, it's like how BBG got kind of known as like a top player too. He basically won like 3 Jam Fests, like not in a row, but he won 2 back to back. Lost in the finals to like Prismat, and then I think won the next one, which is just crazy. Like Winding is, oh dude, he's so good. Like, it's crazy. So I'll go over a couple other people. Christmas time. There's some people that actually emerged out that I'm actually not used to, but I think they joined the Masters Discord this week. I think Yatsuba joined. I actually noticed that Maverick played in NA instead of EU. So he did pretty well. He got top 8. That's a solid finish. Nola Golds. Nola Golds actually usually makes it to top 32. The one person I don't like it that I'm not seeing on this list is my boy Windmage. He hasn't made it to a tournament in like I don't know a really long time.
Yeah.
What's going on, bud?
Yeah.
Come on, walk us through it. Why aren't you in tournaments? Oh, there Smithel goes. But don't worry about it. We've probably forgot to warn you about it. Just keep talking.
Well, I'm gonna make a comeback. I'm gonna be competing up there again. I
a date, a time, which tournament?
I'll look at next weekend. I'll be in
DOR 10.
Yeah.
Are you gonna play in the C region?
Yeah, I'm gonna be in. No, I'm not gonna play in the C region. I'll be in an A.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna make my comeback. I got a little distracted playing Valorant.
I heard you're trying to go pro in Valorant, and that's why you were quitting playing LOR.
Hey, don't shit talk him. He's the leader of the Iron Squad, man.
Yeah. I'm Iron Gang. I'm Iron. My favorite superhero is Iron Man, so I just gotta represent him.
Oh, dude, you actually need to change that to your display pic now. Now you need to be known as Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah.
So for NA, this basically Prismata is actually kind of surprised he got knocked out first round, but Sudrakhan is a good player, so I'm not really surprised about that.
I played against both of them. They're
they're very good player. Like Annie Desu came over and played in NA. I think he was in EU as well. But that basically sums up NA. I think I stopped talking at one point there. I think I forgot to...
Your push to talk went crazy.
Oh, no! I don't know when I stopped talking. But anyways, that's basically it for NA. Now it's on to EU. As always, I don't follow EU as much. So I'm sorry. Yeah, and some of the players' names like... Mahome, Michael,
Michelle.
Okay. Well, he got first place. He, I know Casanova was casting him a little bit because I think he ended up turning on at the end for the top 4. There was literally no one that was left that was a streamer, so they actually asked him to turn on his webcam, or not his webcam, his stream, and I think Casanova followed him. And he was able to win. Mago's actually, I think he comes from Artifact. I know he's friends with like he knows Swim and stuff from Artifact, and he's a really good player. So glad to see him back up on top of there. Gigas is actually one of our Masters Discord players. Nawatics, Presto's up there again. Not exactly sure. Like, this is the only problem with EU is because I don't follow it as much. I really feel bad that I don't know all the players' names. Promise you, if there's ever a pro league or something like that, I'm going to make sure to follow every single player in NA and EU so I can give you the best possible tournament news. So that's basically it for DOR. I'm going to actually go on next. Jam Fest has returned. Now, I'm not going to have anything up on screen, but the tournament starts tomorrow, the 23rd. It's going to start at 9 a.m. EDT for EU and 3 p.m. EDT for NA. It is 2 days, right? You know what? I do need to pull it up. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds because I'm going to pull it up on my phone and just look over at the Discord again just because I don't want to give the wrong information. She was at work when I was talking to her, so just want to make sure I give you the right stuff. Jam Fest... I think it's 2 days. I think it is. Top Cut, yeah. Top Cut is May 24th, same time. So it's Top Cut. So Swiss rounds are day on the 23rd at the times that I told you about. And then Saturday and Sunday. So are you going to be playing in this one, Windmage? Or,
well,
you have time to sign up. She's literally pushed it to an hour before the tournament starts. Unless you're helping with it.
Well, I was planning on helping with it. So.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were helping with it or not, because
I'm interested in helping with tournaments as well as playing them.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Um,
Okay, well, so that's. I'm gonna post the links for JamFest. You guys should really join in. Jam
yeah.
hosts some great tournaments and does some really good job at hosting them. It's $100 for NA, $100 for EU. She has a sponsor that sponsors the event, so go on over there, give her some love, and join the tournament and try your heart out to win. And that's it for the Jam Fest. What were you gonna say, Windmage?
Oh, I was gonna say they get all the top players that normally play in the DRR tournaments also play in the Jam Fest normally.
Yep.
So
Yep, that's
it's
true.
good competition, good tournament.
Yeah, it's ran exactly like Duels of Runeterra. It's just well, not exactly, but it's pretty similar in rule set, like Conquest.
You'll be if you participated in a DRR tournament, a Duels of Runeterra tournament, then you'll be familiar with everything, the the way it's run and everything.
So, last topic I want to talk about was Twitch Rivals that happened on May 14th. So, it was a really cool event. I wish there would have been more LOR players, but I'm also not an idiot and understand why we need to bring lots of players from other games. We were trying to bring more people to come watch LOR and come and play the game. So I completely understand. And some of the top players in it, like Dog, Hafu, Swim, Crip, you can see the list on screen. I don't
Yeah,
really
I
need
can
to tell
I can
you.
appreciate.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I appreciate that they brought on a lot of the big streamers for this. I would have loved to have seen the likes of BBG there because
I do
Yeah.
too, because
had a good
BBG
following.
is big enough, but I don't know what
Yeah.
their info was like. They're like Pokrovac. I now don't 100% quote me on this. I think Alan was actually invited, but he was unable to make it, so he gave his spot to Pokrovac. But that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true, so don't quote me on that, guys. Please don't.
Just say, just allegedly.
Just allegedly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So for the event itself, I'll run through the places. So Dog got first, Swim got second, Pokro got third. So there was a top bracket and a lower bracket. They played in Swiss rounds to start. It was Swiss phase, three rounds. After that, they went into bracket phases, but it was two single elimination brackets, and there was an upper bracket and a lower bracket. Now, upper bracket had the higher prize pool. It was 20,000 for first, 15,000 for second. Again, you can see this on screen. I don't need to say everything, but and then there was a lower bracket. So for the top three for the upper bracket, it was Dog, Swim, and Pokro. For the lower bracket, it was Mogwai, Fish, and Tyrannus. Crip got really close to making it into top three, but it was so overall. The event was cool. I'm not bashing Twitch Rivals, and in no way do I think it was horrible. There was a couple things that I do hope they fix in the future, and it mostly comes down to I think the production value was it was there, but there was a couple times where the casters weren't actually couldn't hear them. So I hope they fix that up. And my biggest issue was the time limit.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
the way that I view it, and is I'm glad that Twitch Rivals put some highlight onto Legends of Runeterra. I mean, God knows the community needs more like solid tournaments, and it could use with some publicity and Twitch kind of getting behind it. I just wish that this wasn't the way that it would have happened. You know what I mean? I mean, there was definitely some issues, and like I think about all the people that were going to be watching it and all the people that were like, "Oh, what is this? I've never seen it." And it feels bad that in some instances that's what they saw. Like I would have loved for them to sit there and see BBG. You know, like one of the best, tournament players, and a really, really smart guy, really be able to highlight his play. I think the time limit probably wasn't the best call
Well,
and how
that's
they
that's what I
implemented that.
that's what I really want to focus on a little bit more. Is it's basically, I I don't know if Twitch Rivals ever going to see this podcast, but I think the main thing that we have to get out of this is a 50-minute time limit for a $20,000 prize pool just kind of seems super weird to me. I think in the future, um, we when we ran Principles of Strength, when we did the Invitational, we didn't give a time limit for any of the creators because we knew the games were going to go fast enough anyways. All these guys basically know how to play the game or have been playing card games or in tournaments or something before, so it's not like they're new to playing these events. So giving them 50 minutes to do this, and then if the time runs out, player takes 3 more turns. It just kind of seemed weird, and it made for some controversial stuff to happen during the tournament that was unfair to some players. Not going to go into that at all because I don't think it's relevant or important. It's already basically been talked to. Twitch Rivals has actually contacted some people, and even Umbridge has reached out to some of the players and said in the future the Twitch Rivals will be changed, because Twitch Rivals doesn't just do one events. They do more events for games. They do this for lots of games across all different platforms. So it's not going to be the last one. Hopefully they're going to take some of the critiques that people have given about the Twitch Rivals, and going forward they're going to change some stuff, because the overall tournament was a cool. It ran all right. It's just the production was a little iffy sometimes compared to some other Twitch rival stuff that I've seen, and the match limit's got to go. I'm sorry, 50 minutes. Even if you give them an hour and 20 something, or just remove the time limit, it really doesn't matter. You really think a player is going to care about having to sit around to try to win 20,000? That right now, for some of the people in here, it might not matter, but for some other people that could make a difference to their life. So I mean, it's $20,000. Even if you're rich, I still think that's
$20,000 is a good chunk of change. You don't want to be rushing decisions when 20K is on the line.
Exactly, and that's the thought process that I think a lot of people had with the complaints. I'm not the only one that's basically ushered this complaint about the way that the tournament was ran with the time limit. So we won't talk too much more. If you guys want to add something, Windmage or Smith, let's add it now, and then let's move on.
All right. I was just gonna say one quick thing is for the Duels of Runeterra, for Jamfest, for the chaotic 100 plus player tournaments, those time limits have usually been around 60 to 65 minutes, and for experienced players that don't have to do the whole cat and mouse, find each other on Discord, figure out each other's decks, because a lot of that's already kind of, they know what to do. There's not a lot of rigmarole with in between matches. So it's not like the games are going to be drawn out so long that everyone's going to be bored. So, 50 minutes is just already more restrictive than the chaotic 100 plus player tournaments. I think if they're going to have a time limit, make it 60 or 65 to match what the
I agree with that 100%. If they're gonna have a time limit, I really don't think they need a time limit. I was looking up for Apex Legends and stuff, and other games. I understand it's not a card game, but Apex Legends works that they give them 4-hour timers, no restrictions on how many games they play, but they earn points for wins, they earn points for kills and stuff like that. That's different. You give a 4-hour time limit for that, but it's at the end of it, it's it's a completely different game, and I feel like they gave a time limit on this because they thought it needed to be ran really quickly. Like, I don't know if it's because they had to pay the casters for their time and they only wanted to book them for a certain amount of time. I don't exactly know all of the back end information on why there had to be a 50-minute time limit, but I definitely think it can be removed in the future because there are some players that do like to take their time to think. And when you're playing for $20,000, what are we going to do when we come to real events? Like, we're at a LAN event and there's some guy that likes to take his time to think and he's in the grand finals. So what if the match goes over 50 minutes? Are you guys going to cancel it and say the other guy won? That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So why are we doing this now? It just doesn't really make a lot of sense, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, and I also don't like how I think in the later rounds, the way they handled going over time limit, like when it got to like upper bracket and lower bracket, is it was after 3 rounds, it was highest Nexus total health, which really isn't like
that doesn't say the game sometimes. If you're playing against Burn, yeah,
it's not a great indicator of the game state necessarily. Like if you're down to 3 HP on your Nexus, but your opponent's Demacia and they have no cards, and Demacia in general doesn't have a lot of card draw, they're out of gas. You're probably going to win if you're running some control deck. Even if your Nexus health is lower, like it's just not, it's not a tell-all situation of the game state. And overall, I'm just not a huge fan of ties. And in a chaotic 100 plus contestant tournament where they got to keep it going so people aren't locked in a like 12 plus hour tournament when it's already really long. I understand that, but for a small event for the creators where everyone's experienced with card games, they're not gonna intentionally stall it out. I was necessary.
Well, I think that's one of the frustrations that did happen when there was like some controversy around it. Is people weren't purposely trying to stall the game; they were just thinking about their plays. And
there's a lot of money made.
Exactly, it's good money. Even if someone gets paid this as a salary, $20,000 is still $20,000. All of these streamers here, there's probably only like one, maybe two that 20,000 would be like, oh, that's cool, but like, they can make that just Twitch streaming for like a couple of months. So I get it. Like I get it, them wanting to do it quickly, but I just don't think that this can go forward in the future like this, or they're going to keep having issues. Smithel, did we basically cover everything? Did you have anything you wanted to add on that?
No. I think I covered my thoughts about it at the beginning, so I'm pretty good.
So let's move on to the fun part before we close out. I didn't want to talk about this. Let's talk about what we foresee as some of the patch notes that we want to see, some of the changes we want to see, and what we think is actually going to happen. And don't say nothing because that's just mean.
So I mean, I don't know what I think is going to happen. I mean, I definitely think that there's some cards that for sure need nerfed. I'm still going to be one to sit there and say Ezreal and Karma need something, or Ezreal or Karma need something. I don't think that they're as much of a threat, but that's only because Burn exists in the state that it does right now.
If Burn goes or gets a nerf, Ezreal Karma will become a huge problem again.
I agree.
100%.
And I think Burn's going to be affected somehow. I don't know what exactly they're going to do to it.
Demolitionist is kind of annoying.
It's too abusive. And I like the Burn concept. Like, I like aggro decks, but I don't like decks where it's just play out your entire hand, don't block, don't do anything, just keep hitting face. Like, there has to be some sort of brain power behind it. And I know that's bad for me to say because I used it to pretty much get the diamond, but it felt bad at times of like, really there's nothing that they can do against me, and it didn't matter to me what I was playing against. The strategy was always the same. It was get a one drop on first hand, and then after that just play everything I can. It doesn't matter. Go face, don't block.
It's the waifu combo that needs to get nerfed. If anything gets nerfed from Burn aggro, the Crimson Disciples to Imperial Demolitionist That's 4 damage to face, and it's almost really hard to stop without having to waste
Yeah.
some cards that are really important for your deck to like if you're like, let's use Heimer. If you use that as an example, if you use Get Excited on one of those, you're missing out on a elusive turret. You're missing out on something like, yeah, you have to do it, but like there's also stuff that can stop it. Like Transfusion's so good, and it's not impossible to have enough mana to drop this. Because like that's the thing is with this deck, if you get all of your units, like we just played a couple of matches before the podcast started, and if you just draw all of your units and someone can get rid of almost all of your units, you lose the game because you're out of steam. But if you have a couple of units and spells like Transfusion and other spells like Noxie and Fervor, like this card is also, in my opinion, a little too strong. Noxie and Fervor's a little too strong. And I think it does a little too much damage by dealing 3. I would be okay with seeing it do 2. But again, I also don't want them to nerf burn aggro to the ground. And I think we're probably at the same... I think we all agree on that. Like, I would be surprised if one of us didn't agree on that.
Burn is at times very oppressive and uninteractive. But at the same time, there are a lot of good decks right now, and people are like, oh, so what does it lose to? And you're like, burn. That's pretty much it. So like it has an important place in the meta to like balance out these decks.
Burn needs to exist, but it needs to be almost
not this strong though. Not this strong.
I think definitely looking at Noxie and Fervor, it was like burn wasn't even like, I'd say it was a decent tier 2 deck before the patch, but adding Noxie and Fervor, adding Imperial Demolitionist, and then just refining, some refinements to the deck in general.
You don't even need a champ to make this deck good, and it's just kind of weird to me. Like it's better to run without it. So like I definitely think so to go back over to the nerfs that we think, or at least I think. I don't know if you guys. I think Crimson Disciple itself, I don't think it needs a nerf, but Imperial Demolitionist doing 1 to an ally and then dealing 2, I would be okay with that, dealing 2 to an ally and then 2 to the enemy nexus or something, or doing 2 to an ally and 1 to the enemy nexus, because then...
Oh, I think 2 for 1 would be a little harsh.
I think 2 for 1 would be a little harsh as well.
I think 1 for 1 would be fine. I think 2 for 2 would be fine. But yeah, that's the way I'd view it. It should basically, the way I see it is, I'm taking the damage here to apply it there. It shouldn't be a 1 for 2 trade. At least that's just me.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to waste a deny on this. You almost, like, let's be real. With deny, like, think about it. Like, when we play Heimer, when do you ever want to deny that? Like, you don't usually want to deny it.
Right.
It's just kind of weird to do, like, if you're denying Imperial Demolitionists, like...
Yeah, you're really only good... The only thing you actually feel good about denying is Decimate.
Yeah,
Everything
true.
else feels really terrible to deny.
So, other than that, like, I don't actually think there's that much about Burn that is that different from before. Like, we still had Legion Grenadier. Like, we still had the other stuff that was a part of it. I just think having Noxie and Fervor is huge, and having the waifu combo. Waifu.
Right.
Waifu. Yeah.
Noxie and Fervor and Transfusion just really make the original counters of just like, just grasp them and they lose. It's good that SI just doesn't completely steamroll over them now. But now, if you're just running like regular Piltover and Zone removal that doesn't heal, it even becomes risky to use that because you're using your limited expensive removal, and then they just kind of deny it with their Noxie and Glimpse.
Yeah.
And I don't think they need to do too much to burn, but considering it was
a little bit, that's
an okay spot before, just gotta look at the new cards they added.
It actually wasn't in a good spot before. I think it was definitely below 50%.
I think it was a little weak. I think it was a little weak before. So yeah, I should clarify on that. I think it was a little weak before, but once they added basically Noxian Glimpse and the Demolitionist for the Demolitionist Disciple combo,
yeah,
a little much. Where it's good. It's good that it's not an auto loss to play against healing now, but it's also like became even stronger against everything it does.
Yeah, there needs to be some thinking behind it.
Yeah, I think another thing they could do, which would be an indirect nerf, which probably wouldn't be until the next expansion, would just be adding healing to regions that aren't royals.
That would be good too. So let's try to think of. I'm just trying to think of some like other new cards or changes that happened. Like I'm gonna be real with you. With the plunder and stealing your card, I know that people say it's a meme. I know that this is in other card games, but it's super frustrating. I know that you love it. That's just because you like stupid stuff from other games, in my opinion.
See, I like the mechanic because, like, it's one of those things of saying there's so many combo-heavy decks in the game right now that just have so many very specific win conditions that if you can make them start panic drawing out, like I think you were gone taking care of your dog, and Wind Mage and I were talking, but I was playing a match earlier today, and it was against a Karma Ezreal, and on turn 2, I warning shot and plunder, and I get immediately I get 2 denies out of their deck. Turn 3, I played the Black Market Merchant after basically getting a damage in, so basically I could trigger his plunder. I pick a 3rd deny, and then the rest of the game, watching this guy start like panic drawing through his deck to try to find denies, because you could tell that's what he's doing, because like his health's getting lower, and I'm sitting there and I'm continuing to play spells and continuing to do things to get my plunder to go off. My TF's going like crazy at this point, and I'm like, he's just panic picking, trying to stop plunder, and he doesn't get a deny, but I'm not playing him, so he doesn't know what the hell I'm holding in my hand. And he's not sitting there thinking, surely not 3 denies in a row came up for this guy. Like, I like, that's the reason why I love it, is it's not so much of like a trolling thing, but it's like, look, you know how to play this, but it's going to come down to are you a good player, or are you just basically doing the same thing every time? It's like aggro, where there's no thinking. If you're just playing a deck on autopilot and can't adapt to a situation, then you're screwed. And so I like that. I like that concept of it. If it's not just, people getting on autopilot, they have to think, what could you have taken from me? Or this deck that I'm going against can change literally every time, depending upon what they get. Like
I would actually be okay with what Obi said in chat. Like, I feel like it would be nice to know, okay, stealing from the bottom of the deck, the top of the deck, the middle of the deck, I actually don't care as much. It would be nice to know what they stole from you. Because, like, I understand that, like, it makes a surprise, but it's also a stupid surprise. They literally now have, like, a fucking 2-mana deny, or what is it, 3-mana deny? Dude,
well, it depends.
You're not going to agree with me on this, Smithel, so I'm just not going to talk about it if I'm being honest, because you like stupid stuff like that from other games, and this is, like, stuff that you like from Hearthstone, and I know that if I played Hearthstone, I would never, ever agree with you on it. And MTG is the same idea. It's not a strategy. It's random as fuck. It's not.
If you're playing Deny in your deck, and I'm sitting there, and I don't get it out of your deck, but I know you have it in there, and I start holding 4 mana on my turn intentionally, not using it.
But it's not 4 mana, because when you steal the card, it doesn't cost 4 mana.
Only if you have Black Market Merchant on.
I thought the other card did it too.
No. Plunder just steals 2 if you get, or steals 2 if you get, or pills for good. Yeah, if you get the plunder off first. So I mean,
it's still stupid, Smithel. I'm sorry.
It's one of those things that you can start playing mind games with your opponent of saying, did I get your deny? Do I have one of your denies?
There's enough mind games in this game. I don't need more. It's really stupid.
I think that's what I love about it.
Anyways,
if you showed it, like if you get something that's so stupid.
Okay, well, we have
like,
something more important to talk about because those cards are not really that important. I think it's a stupid mechanic. Plunder itself is all right, but it also has a lot of stupid interactions, and yeah, I don't always like it. Anyways, but Grizzled.
Oh, you're push to talk, buddy.
Anyways, Grizzled Ranger, he needs.
I think he needs weaker stats on the original at the very least.
Also the 3 mana for the Loyal Badge Bearer. I don't know how to buff this or how to nerf this. I almost feel like if you just make it cost 4 mana as well, it might not be as good because right now Loyal Badge Bearer being able to drop it on 3 and then dropping Grizzled Ranger on 4 is just kind of weird to me. It's kind of unfair.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
Okay. Take that card out of collection, make it a summonable only.
Yeah,
you could do that.
Give everybody whatever they have it in their collection. Just give them that mana or the shards.
I was just gonna say. I think if they keep it a vanilla card, they can't. If they nerf the stats, like that's all it has going for it. So, I think if they nerf the stats at all, it's gonna be very weak and not played. Like even if they make it a 3 mana 4/3, then it's a worse Iron Ballista. And who plays Iron Ballista? You know, the 3 mana 4/3 Overwhelm.
Yeah.
I know it's a different deck, and Demacia has stuff like Bannerman to buff it up, but it just wouldn't feel good. It already doesn't do anything besides its big wall of stats. I think the thing they need to do is just make it so you only get it from the Ranger and not have it be a separate playable card.
That would be a perfect fit for me. I mean, I doubt that they would make something that extreme, but you know.
I don't think they need to kill the card. I really don't think they need to kill the card. I just do think like making it a summoned unit or something like that just helps the play style of it a little bit more. Or just making Grizzled Ranger just have a little smaller of a stat line. The Scout just makes it like it makes you like when he turns into a 4/4, it makes you almost not want to block it, but like taking 4 damage to your face hurts a lot.
Yeah, if you don't have like spiderlings or other cheap chump blockers, it feels really bad to have Ranger played against you, and you're like, well, I basically I'm forced to take this 4 damage for free to begin with, because if I block the first time, he's just going to swing at me with a 4/4. So it's like, well, normally the play is, take 4 free damage and then block it the second time. And it just feels really, really awful to play against.
I think we need to talk about the next card that if Burn was not so strong.
Unyielding Spirit.
If Burn was not so strong right now, this Demacia would have been even more broken than it already is. Unyielding Spirit can, excuse my language, but it can go fuck itself. Like, this was the... Oh, it cost 8 mana! Wow!
It's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be burst. It doesn't need to be burst at all. It needs to be a fast... I don't even think it needs to be slow. It can be fast. Because fast you can respond to with... fast can be responded to by single combat. So many other things that can respond to it. But by having it as a burst, it literally makes it so it's like almost non-respondable. Like you can't do anything to it.
It is non-respondable.
Well, no, there's Will of Ionia, there's Detain, there's... the only problem is when they throw it on a champ. That's what I don't like, because Purify doesn't work on champions, which I get it. If Purify was able to remove any extra buffs on a champ, that would be cool, but that would also suck. Yeah. I don't think they need to. I think they need to make this card a fast. Slow, in my opinion, that takes up a turn and is a little too much.
But think about what kind of value this card brings. Like, especially, so let's say you play Fiora
8
3.
mana slow, it won't get used that often. That's the problem.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because it has to be a thing. Like, it has to be a very specific condition that you want to play. You don't want basically them just to sit there and say, like, Fiora 3, I'm going to bury her turn 4, and then I'm going to Unyielding Spirit 5, and then just plow house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can respond to it, though. There's still responses that you can do. A double single combat can win you that. Like, there's other stuff in the game that can literally get it removed and not have to worry about unyielding. And like Burn Aggro doesn't even worry about this card because by the time it comes on board, if Burn Aggro hasn't already won the game, they have to surrender.
Can't afford to play it.
Yeah, I mean, the way I view it is, I just don't think it should be playable during an attack phase. You know, because of the value that it brings. Burst and fast, you can do that. Sure, you can respond to it if it's fast on an attack phase, but it to me it would be better because you're basically saying, look, I'm taking a unit and it's going to be on board forever unless you have Purify or Detain, which really aren't being played too much right now.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that are saying it's such an impactful long-term game card that you should have a full turn to reply to it. It shouldn't just be like, well, I'm attacking, it's coming out, you know, hopefully you waste 2 or 3 spells out of your hand to get rid of it now. You know, there should be ways to build around it.
Yeah.
You know, it would essentially give you 2 opportunities.
I still personally, like, okay, like, I'm going to agree with, like, I don't play against it that much. No one runs 3-0s of this card, and maybe you'll see it every here and there in, like, a tournament, just someone trying to play with the meta a little bit in a tournament, but people don't run 3-0s, so you don't always see this card drawn, and I think it being slow just makes it, like, if this is slow, then but let me finish, Smith, though. God damn it. Making it a slow means that they can play a unit on their turn, which affects the way it works. Costing 8 mana. When you spend 8 mana, think about Ruination. When you spend 9 mana on Ruination, you better hope to God that they have no mana and can't fill their board back up. If they make this a slow, I feel like it will never be played. I don't think they need to kill the card. It has enough responses to it if it's a fast spell. It really does. Slow? Well, yeah, of course, everything can respond to it. But, like, I don't think it needs to be a slow because I don't think it ruins the game being in it except for it being a burst because it's unresponsive. You can't... This is worse than playing against Karma right now. Literally. This is... Because Karma's just not good against Burn right now. So that's why we haven't even talked about her that much. Karma... They need to fix her and do something, but they need to nerf Burn a little bit first before we see Karma come back into the meta. Because Karma's not getting used right now. But Unyielding Spirit, I don't think it needs to be a slow. But we'll see what they do. They are going to do something to this.
So let's,
they go slow, I think it's too far.
Let's talk your Ruination example. So Ruination, 9 mana, it basically is saying if you're playing this card, you're going all in and hoping that the opponent doesn't have on their turn enough mana to fill their board and respond to it. You know, you're basically saying, I'm giving up this turn to whiteboard, play something that could potentially alter the game state. An Unyielding Spirit, in my opinion, is a very similar condition, especially on something like a
You can play around it, though. You don't need it to be slow. That's what I think you're just seeing it as a broken card. Not really. Well, no, yeah, you can play around it, but just by heavy mana, like Unyielding, you'll see that they have 8 mana. They're running Demacia. Everyone thinks about it. It's not like you don't think about this card, but it being as a burst right now, you can't respond to it. So I don't think it needs to be slow. I think it's fine to go to fast. I don't think they need to completely destroy the card. They go to slow, this card's not going to be used. And if we're happy with that, well, then cool. Like, then it's the same uselessness as Bright Steel Formation right now and Tiana Crown Guard. Like, these cards are basically all going to, like, I have them up on the screen. All these cards are basically useless with reinforcement. None of these cards are going to get used in current meta. And Demacia is still going to be strong regardless of what they do. It's just, I don't think Unyielding needs to be completely shittered on. Because I don't think that that's the whole reason why Demacia is really strong. I think there's a lot of other factors in the region that needs to be looked at. But I don't think it's overshadowing right now the fact that just Burn... This is the problem, is we're going to keep going back to Burn. Burn is just too strong right now, and I don't think can stay exactly the way it is right now because we're not noticing all of the other decks and all the other cards that are broken right now because of how strong Burn is. We're like missing it. We're not seeing it. Because Karma and Ezreal need to be fixed in some way. But because it's not on the main leaderboard and on the stats, well, maybe it doesn't need to be fixed. Maybe that's what Riot's thinking about because they're not seeing it as much. But it's a really frustrating thing when you see 9 spells come on the board and you can't respond to it. It's literally the most unresponsive deck to play against if they can get it off.
Yeah, I've said it many times. Rummage should never be an 8-mana lethal card. Or an 8 damage lethal card.
Yeah, it's nuts. Rummage is just insane. I mean? Rummage is literally like a 1 mana progress day for Karma. Like that is, they need to definitely. I'm never on the terms of saying remove a card, completely delete it, because that's another reason why I don't think Unyielding needs to be basically made into a slow, because I feel like if they go too much into one direction, they completely delete cards. Look what happened to Hecarim. If you want me to actually be honest about what I want to see a buff happen to again, I want to see him go back to 3-2 on his Skeletal Riders and him be playable again, because I miss Hecarim actually being good. I think he was nice. There was ways to play around him, and now he's just a friggin' unplayable card. And SI took a big nerf on their deck in general, like on their whole region as a whole.
Yeah, mid range is basically unplayable right now, which is kind of sad because it was like SI. People got sick of seeing in my opinion, I think Rekindler was the big problem.
Yeah.
Where is the Rekindler? Did he just go die in a bush somewhere? Like, what happened?
He's basically an undying deck. That's about it.
+1 mana cost actually does a lot more than people would think. Remember Rasa? I mean, he's making a small comeback as a one-of in Endure Spiders, but other than that, after there are months, it's where you just never saw Rasa again.
I mean, I don't know. I agree. I'd like to see Hecarim make a comeback, but before they do that, because I don't want it just to be him get buffed again and then we go back into the old Hecarim days that were a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'd rather see what they would do with something like Vlad. That's kind of been in a rough spot the whole time.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to see them just completely rework Vlad because I think his concept's cool. I'd love to see a lot of decks built around him and around that idea of self-damage to get something out of it. I
don't want Vlad and Swain to be any strong. See, here's my issue with buffing cards like Vlad or Swain or
I think Vlad and Swain are very different.
Swain is Vlad but here's the thing though, is you're buffing a region that right now is an issue for Burn. If you buff these cards anymore, I used to play a Chadamir Burn deck that Sunglasses made. And he would basically just throw Vlad in there to just do extra burn. And I don't know. There's a couple of cards right now that, I don't know. Meta to me, personally, I'm rather bored with it. And I'm really excited for patch notes. If they hit us with a really small patch and not kind of these big card changes that I think we all think are going to, oh my God, your cat is so bald. It is hilarious. It's so cute. It's going to be really disappointing. I'm excited to see the change, the shift in meta, because that's one of my favorite things is when you have to refigure out meta and figure out where it is, what we need to play, what cards we can try out, because then it's also easy to climb. Because if you just play a deck that you know is going to work well, you just climb the ladder, because everyone's trying stupid decks that make no sense just because they just buffed Yasuo. Everyone's going to play dumb stuff like that. So it's always fun to do stuff like that. But TF Swain got me to Diamond. Hey, don't disrespect my boy. I mean, hey, Swain, I don't have a problem with Swain. I just talk shit on his level up thing. What's it called? What is that called? Oh my God, I'm thinking of the word. I can't think of it.
Condition?
not his level up condition. Like the
the
thing
animation.
His animation. There we go. I hate that animation, and the EU guys made fun of me for it. They're like, what do you mean? They use the decisive maneuver stamp and they stamp it down. I'm like, dude, it's still stupid. And they're like, oh, we hate you.
Yeah, I will say I played against the Swain this week that managed to get 2 Leviathans on board at the same time. Oh, that shit was oppressive. That felt so bad. Like
Cloudfield's memeing us now. What do you mean the animation is sick? Anyways,
I also like the animation.
Is there any other cards that we really think need to be looked over? Like, if I'm being honest, not anything that we haven't talked about before. Any other buffs? Like, I want Sejuani to be good, but I don't think they need to buff her. She'll be broken if she's buffed anymore than she is. She's a really strong card.
I got in an argument with somebody on a mini argument with somebody on Twitter who was complaining, saying Braum needs the Poro keyword, and me saying no, he doesn't. Let's not do that.
Poro stacks on Braum.
Yeah, that's what I'm sitting there saying. Like Poro stacks, ball of fluff, like he would be pulled into it. No, thank you. No, he doesn't.
That would be terrible if you ran fluffed with that.
Yeah. No, he doesn't need it, and they're like, he should be. And I'm like, no, like
he's not the Poro King. His name is Braum.
He's not a Poro.
And he's not the Poro King. There's an actual Poro King. You can see it in the.
Hey, they could add more Poro support in the future by adding the Poro King.
The guy was getting in a fight with Riot. Like he was arguing with Riot Umbridge about it, and Umbridge is like, he's not a Poro. Like, and I'm like, hey, he's fine. He's not a Poro. Like, leave him alone.
Yeah.
But like, if we're talking about like who we'd like to see, I'd like to see some Freljord get a little bit of love. I mean,
Freljord's weak. Actually,
Freljord is probably my favorite region. It's just there's so many better options to play right now that I'd like to see them get a little bit of a buff. And I think if you get some mid range love just in general around, I think Freljord will be okay.
I'm pulling up a tweet from Cosmic. He actually made a tweet that showed all of the. I think this was last week, and I was going to talk about it. Oh God, where is it? No, I need to find it. Or he retweeted something. It was basically someone pulled up all the statistics of which regions get used the most and which regions don't. Freljord is like dog tier, shit tier, like never used.
Like I'm having fun with that deck that's going around right now that says Sejuani Ash Freljord, and it's a fun deck to play. It's just I can't get consistent results out of it. Because if you're playing Burn, you just get all your late game cards. You're kind of screwed. You know, there's no real healing. There's nothing you can do to kind of keep yourself going.
You don't have like any tools whatsoever to deal with Burn.
Yeah, so I mean it's rough. So I'd like to see them get a little bit of something. But what I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure because you think, well, they have some good tools to. They have potential to have a really good mid-range deck.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I just think that they just need to buff kind of mid-range in general across the board.
Mm-hmm.
You know, outside of Bannerman and things like that. And then I think you'd see a little bit of a comeback from Freljord. Because you're right. I mean, it has tons of stuff to buff your own units and to kind of like frostbite and control the game without being control-y. That if you let them start getting a roll and playing on curve and things like that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. But, you know, there's just too many ways to deal with it right now. It's either super early or hold them out until super late.
And Freljord has like a ton of good cards. It's just, or I shouldn't say a ton. It's got some really good cards, but they just don't have enough support. Like, you know,
I hear you.
Brutal Steel, Elixir of Iron, good spells. Omen Hawk's a good card. A lot of times
Omen Hawk's busted, dude.
Yeah, but the problem is there aren't enough good cards to make like a solid.
Like Starlit Seer is probably one of my favorite cards right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like it is a great card to play. Just like, hey, like I'm gonna keep you on deck and just start buffing with low value things. And then you're bringing out like
You're not gonna.
God, like a 6/5 Sentry or something for 2 mana. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem is like there's just not enough stuff in Failure to, for example, make a mono Failure deck. You're not going to be seeing Avarice and Outriders in any tier 1 decks because they're just not. They got good splash cards, Omen Hawk, Elixir of Iron. You saw those when elusives were popular, like the Kinku elusives version, which actually has fallen out of favor. But that was most commonly when you saw Failure get any attention. And then the other example is Endure Spiders, and you're really only splashing They Who Endure and maybe a couple Avarice and Sentries if you feel like it. But yeah. They have good tools, just maybe need a little extra love.
So we are getting. I want to go play Valorant. So let's wrap this up so we can go get to Iron 2 and Valorant. And well, I guess let's start with Windmage. Windmage, I know you only have a Twitter account because you don't really stream or anything like that. Everyone can find him in the Masters Discord or basically modding everyone's other Discord.
Pretty much he's everywhere.
Yeah.
What's your actual Twitter? Just say it out.
Oh, it's at Windmage LOL. If you want to be my second follower. I'll have to start a pain club if I get a second follower. I'll have to start demanding that people pay money for my autographs and stuff like that. But
I mean, that makes sense.
I think
a little check mark.
I think the fame will get to me if I have to use more than one hand to count my Twitter followers. If you're not ready for me to be fundamentally changed, then
then don't follow you.
Yeah, don't follow me if you're not ready to see me fundamentally changed by the fame.
And if you guys want to talk shit to Windmage, just at him in Masters Discord. Please don't spam him, but he's always in there.
Yeah. Or any of the other streamer Discords. I'm not necessarily a mod in there or anything, but I'm in a lot of.
I thought you were a server mod in Ludens. Are you not?
Yeah, I'm in Ludens. Yeah, I'm in Mavericks, Duels of Runeterra. Well, I'm not modding in Duels of Runeterra, but I'm in most of the LOR.
You find your way around in LOR. You're good like that.
Yeah.
So let's go into my platforms. Twitter, Kozer88. Twitch is Kozer_88. YouTube is YTKozer88.
Awesome. Then as always, guys, you can catch me Twitter at Smithel Gaming. If you want to catch my streams whenever I'm doing that, it's twitch.tv/Smithel. Obviously, if you are a fan of the show, you can catch us on Twitter at Poro Weekly. If you want to watch us live whenever we record, it's twitch.tv/Weekly Poro Report. Also, go check out via the Twitter or via YouTube video. We'll post a link to our Discord. Feel free to stop in there, say hi. It's probably the best place to get a look at Kozer and I, or our mod, or I think you're an admin in it actually, Windmage. To the Weekly Poro Report.
Yeah, I think I needed to play with him at one point or co-play, so I just gave him the role and haven't really removed it from him. But it's all good. He's a mod now.
Discord he runs. But that's the best place to get us. But again, Windmage, as always, it's awesome to have you on here. Hopefully you'll swing by again in the future. But other than that, I know we'll be playing Valorant and Runeterra and all kinds of shit together pretty regularly.
Maybe we should get a grainier webcam for next.
I'm thinking I need to add one of those JPEG use more JPEG bots. I need to run it through one of those filters. Yeah, I feel like you're getting too high quality. I think I need to be a little bit more pixelated so you really can't see my features.
Yeah, so you look like one of those people on those crime shows when they blast them out and they talk with their voice really, really deep and shit, so it's distorted.
Yeah. Like when they make those demand videos or manifestos or something, if you ever want to see this person again,
Well, anyways, let's end on that. You want to take us out, Smithel?
Yeah, guys, so we appreciate you here. We'll be on again next week. Follow us on Twitter. We'll be posting kind of when we go live and everything like that.
Lud and Kuma's on next week.
Yes, we will be having Lud and Kuma on next week, so it should be a
8:30
awesome
Thursday.
Awesome
I'm a big fan of Lud and Kuma, so
he's a good guy.
Exciting episode.
He's a good guy. So, but other than that, guys, if you're in Twitch chat, thanks for following around. Harlan Aaron, I believe, was our new follower this week. So thanks, Harlan.
Ooh, yeah, I saw him in chat.
For that too. Also, guys, if you are here, obviously we did hit affiliate, I think a week or two ago on the channel. So thanks everybody for that. You can start using the channel points. We do have one emote already live. So,
Keg W, it's OP, bro. From the Master Discord.
Actually, probably this whole stream, you're probably close to enough to unlock a random emote, so you can actually get that for free. Right now.
Don't do it now because you won't be able. It only unlocks for like 24 hours, so use it on the next stream.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So you should have enough at least banked up. But you can get that and just kind of mess with that too.
Or sub, but we're not like those Twitch streamers that are going to tell you guys that if you have the time to watch our stream, then you should be subbing to us. Because come on.
Oh yeah, you need to. If you have to choose between eating dinner and subbing to Poor Weekly, you should definitely choose Poor Weekly.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what we're saying. No,
we're
not at all.
Start going to sub only mode.
Yeah. No, dude, we're not like that at all. We didn't start doing this to really make money. If any of you guys support us, like honestly, just watching or listening to the podcast means a lot to us. If you guys want to sub to get the emote or unlock it with channel points, we really don't. Like that doesn't matter to us. We just appreciate you guys being here every week.
A good YouTube review means more to us than subscribe, honostly. You know?
Yes.
It's good just knowing you guys like it.
Or reviews. A good review would be nice, too.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, we'll get out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Have fun.